Tell me a New York
Coffee.
coffee. That's Boston.
No, you
Was
did
Boston?
not do. That was way too Boston. Yeah. No.
Wait, say it again.
Coffee.
Coffee.
It's just plain coffee.
Coffee. Was that right?
Closer.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I could tell you used to be an actress.
Dance Journey! With Tracy in LA. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my podcast, Dance Journey. Today, we have a very special guest. I'm actually so excited for Susan Seletsky. I'm saying that right?
That's right.
I realized I didn't practice. I just always call her Susan. Susan C-Spot. Aren't you Susan C-Spot?
Susan the C-Spot. Yep.
So Susan runs the C-Spot studio, which most of you probably know, and I'm so excited to hear more about her story today. But first, let's talk about the class. I went to one of Susan's classes that she usually takes on Saturdays, and it was Kim Blank. And what's the class called?
It's called World Beat Workout.
Okay, World Beat Workout. So it's more of like a follow-along.
Totally follow-along class. She plays a great playlist.
Yeah. I would say it's actually not as easy as I expected it to be. Like, some of the footwork was a little tricky.
I know. It gets very tricky. But also, I think because her friend was in class, because it was a really nice-sized class today, she likes to try and, challenge people a little bit,
It was a really good challenge. Yeah. I liked, and then she sometimes would do some different arms, and I was like, oh, wait, I need to focus on the feet for a second. But it was like more salsa-y-ish.
Yeah.
And then ska, that was fun.
I
was like, oh, that brings me back. And Susan, I just saw her in my peripheral just killing it on the side because she has such good hips. She was getting into it. I got to work on my hips. My hips can get really stiff. But you're just like, I felt like you were adding flair to like everything.
Oh, thank you.
It felt like your style. So we didn't get an official video, unfortunately. I just have to picture Susan because she did really great.
And just picture me going overboard because
she
that's what I always do. Because I have so much fun doing it.
I know. You look like you're having so much fun. And I had fun. That was fun. There was just a lot of jumping, and my knees are not used to it, but I need to. I feel like my cardio has actually been lacking lately.
That class is really good cardio.
Yeah,
I mean,
a lot
she
of
really
jumping
works
jacks.
on that. Yeah.
And yeah, it was really good. I was like, oh, I'm feeling it. Oh, this is good. This is good. But yeah, I loved it. I loved taking that class with you today, Susan. And okay, how I met Susan initially. Actually, what's cool is Susan was a part of my life when I was injured. I was just thinking about that because I sort of forgot. Right. But it was after the pandemic, and I had been injured. Studios had already been open for a bit, but I was injured. My foot, I had, what did happen to me? I had so many injuries actually that I can't keep them straight, but my big toe on my left foot had a fracture. That was the main injury, but then it led to a bunch of other injuries, and I couldn't really use my foot. Anyway, I was eventually starting to come back to dance. I was taking jazz class in sneakers because I couldn't wear jazz shoes yet or anything. And I had found out about a jazz class at the C-Spot, which I'd never been there before. So I met Susan, and she was in the class and used to take it with me. And she was always so encouraging. The thing I love about Susan is she's just such a host. I feel like it's not just like a regular dance studio. It's like her home that she just welcomes you to, and it's just like, you're such a nice host. And I remember that from the very beginning, just feeling really welcomed by you. And then I loved taking class with you, and you always encourage me, and you'd always listen to me when I complained about my foot and like everything that was going on. But then I feel like Susan saw me like heal, like you saw it like get better, and you saw me be able to like not have to wear shoes anymore and like be able to take more classes, and like you always encourage me. So, and now I take lots of classes at C-Spot, and
I know, it's great.
I love it.
It was great that you were here because like you were here from the beginning.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I mean, like, so you couldn't do it, you were injured, and then all of a sudden, thank God, you just came back.
Yeah.
And better than ever. And for every single class practically. Every day almost. It was great.
Literally, I think I was dancing more than I used to dance before the injury. So it was a huge miracle story, and it was cool that you were like in my life.
I loved seeing it. And it was also really cool because so many people commented on it like, wow, look at Tracy. She's taking so many classes. She's getting so good.
Aww. Yeah, the classes here like really helped me, and then part of it was like I was also taking class at Dance Line, and then that studio shut down, and was going to lose my teachers. And then Susan came to the rescue and brought all the teachers here. And like literally I was so happy. It was like maybe a month or something that I didn't have those teachers. Right. And then when I found out they were all coming here, I was like, Susan saved everybody. Like, I mean, I think you saved those teachers are so happy that they were able to come here. And then all of the students, all of us were so happy. And so it's just been like a really fun, I feel like this studio is such a community, has such a community vibe. And it's like literally if anyone's new, Susan is right there. I don't know any other studio owner that does this, but like anybody who's new, Susan's like, oh, do you know so-and-so? Do you know so-and-so? She'll introduce you to people. She's just like so welcoming. You're never going to feel like awkward. I mean, everyone feels awkward at a new class, but like you're going to feel the least awkward at this studio because Susan's so welcoming to everyone.
Well, the reason why I do that is because when I started I took one class at YNS, your neighborhood studio, and the first time I took that class, it was Tor's class, because we all love Tor, and I took him for a long time. But the very first time I did it, I was very uncomfortable, and one woman in the class said to me, oh, hi, how are you? What's your name? And she talked to me. That was Chandra, and she was so nice to me, and so I have to pay it back. And it was so helpful to me, and partly because of her, I came back.
Wow.
So, because as you may have noticed, I'm not that great a dancer, and definitely not with choreography.
Wow.
But, so it was really helpful, and I was particularly awkward then.
I'm like, Susan, you have grown a lot, and I've seen you in a lot of videos, and I'm like, dang. And what's cool is like you have so much personality and flair, and I know you say you struggle with the choreography, but I do see you pick up choreography, and like I think you've grown.
Some classes, sometimes I pick it up, sometimes.
But like some people, even including myself, can pick up like a pretty decent amount of choreography. But then sometimes I don't always have like the extra style because I'm like focused on the moves. But you have like such a fun style. You have such a joy when you're dancing, and I think that's what's most fun, to watch people dance who have joy.
Yeah.
Like, even watching you dance today, I'm like. And you were doing it well. And some of those moves were kind of tricky. And you had it good. And you had joy.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really fun just to watch you. And it's fun to see, like, your different talents. Your talents of running the studio. Your talents of dancing.
Oh,
like,
nice.
It's just so many things. So,
Thank you.
But, like, okay. I definitely want to hear, like, how you ended up getting the studio and all those things. But first, what is, like, a typical, like, Susan week look like? What do you do? I mean, I kind of know a little bit, but what is it? What's your life right now, Susan?
Well, Monday, no. Pretty much every day I'm at the studio because I don't have any paid help because I'm not quite there yet.
Oh, man.
But it's fun. And so every night during the week I come, and then every weekend during the day I come. And the only thing that's hard is when I have to be at the 9 a.m. class on Saturday and the 9 a.m. class on Sunday.
That is rough. Every weekend.
Not my style.
Are you a sleeper inner?
I am a sleeper. Well, it's also because, like, I love being out late at night.
Yeah.
But
that's your New York style. New York, everybody stays out late in New York, right?
Totally. Although saying totally, that's a California word. But
that's because you're California now, too. You're a mix, so. Yeah, that would be rough. I mean, I can be a morning person, but every single Saturday and Sunday, that would be rough. Do you ever have someone do it for you so you can sleep in a little?
Those morning classes, no, but sometimes I have people on Friday nights so I can leave a little earlier. So
you can actually get a little sleep. Oh my gosh, Susan, you work so hard.
I do.
It's been you do. It's been how many years now with the studio?
So I signed the lease 3 years ago in July.
Oh wow!
So now it's been 3 years. We didn't really open up until like November. It was actually the first like big class. I think that class that we took together that started early November maybe.
Okay. Sounds right.
But then we had one teacher who was like did fitness stuff, and he was great, and he had a big following. And so his first class was on my birthday.
Aw.
And so I was so nervous because he was at YNS for many years. He had a huge following, and I was really hoping that he would turn out to be very successful.
Yeah.
And then people started trickling in, and more people started trickling in, and it ended up being like 35 people.
Wow.
On his very first class, and it was my birthday, and it was like such a great present.
So
it was
fun.
really nice, yeah.
Aw. So you're at the studio like every day. Do you have rest time in the middle of all of your...
Oh, yeah, of course. I'm retired from my day job. I mean, I don't...
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
It's probably nothing compared to like...
If I had to work every single day at a 9 to 5 job, which really ends up being 9 to 8, forget about it. That wouldn't work.
Oh my gosh, I would not want a day job that ends up being 9 to 8. But okay, so that's kind of... Oh, and how many dance classes do you personally take a week usually?
Well, I don't take as many as I would like, or as many as I used to, because I have to work the front desk a lot if I don't have any help. But I often have help. I have work study people, and they're great.
Yeah.
I really like them so much, because not only do they help me, but it's always really interesting to talk to young people, because a lot of times old people like me, yeah, and I am old. We're not saying how old, excusez-moi, but old people like me, you know, if we just talk to each other, it's like we've said the same thing over for 40 years. Forget about it. So talking to young people, getting their perspective is really fun. I really enjoy it.
I know. I can totally see that. Like, and you have everyone that works the front desk here is like really nice, and I think they're all happy because they can take all the classes. And,
I know they are.
And you do connect with everybody. It seems like you're just all kinds of people, all ages, all types, all levels. Like you're just welcoming and open and chat with everyone. And
I'm particularly sympathetic to the ones at the low level, like moi. So
yeah,
I want to make them feel better.
And it's really obvious because the studio is so like low stress. Even though some of the classes are pretty hard. It's not that it doesn't have hard classes, but just the way the atmosphere of the studio. If you need a studio that you don't feel stressed out at, like this is the one to be at. Even with the hard classes, it's just like a different type of vibe. And I really think it's because you set the tone, and you set the tone for like helping people grow and being compassionate to whatever level you're at. And so I love that kind of permeates all the classes and everything here.
Well, you know what I think that is? The reason why I opened the studio, my partner had died in August of 2020, which was during the pandemic. Okay. And I had been a lawyer for the Department of Labor. And when she died, I was like really lost, and it was horrible. And it was, I mean, we'd been together 26 years. Wow. It was really bad. And the pandemic, I was so isolated, and it was horrible. And my dance teacher at the time was very good to us, and she actually found a place, and we kept on dancing, and that really helped me, because that was like the only thing I could do that
was that in LA?
Yeah, it was in LA.
Okay.
It was against the law too, but too bad. Yeah, I am a lawyer. But so I decided that I had to do something that I really wanted to do and that I could do. So I quit my day job, and I said to my dance teacher, let's open up a dance studio.
Wow.
So we did. And that's why I think I also want it to be so welcoming, because it was for me to heal, and it helps me so much. Wow. It helped me so much to get through it, and it helped me to be able to have other people come in and feel good and be healed sometimes, and know that they could be safe and comfortable and happy, and that happiness is much more important than being able to get the choreography.
Yeah, I think that's really true.
So that's why... I
didn't realize you quit your job with the intention to do the studio. I guess I really didn't know. Yeah. I thought you were maybe just, you had been retired or something. No, but you had that intention.
I could have kept... I mean, the thing is, my partner was really disabled. Okay. So while she was alive, I had to keep on working, too. Oh, okay. I mean, I intended to always keep on working, because I had to take care of her, and I never knew what was going to happen, and she really had a lot of different things. Wow. It was really horrible. Wow. She really had a hard life, that one. But so what I realized, partly, I think, what I realized after is that while I was with her, I had to take care of her. There was nothing else. That was it.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to.
Yeah.
And so and if anything had happened to me, I couldn't have done that.
Yeah.
So, but once she died, I said, well, I can do anything I want.
Yeah.
I don't have to take care of anybody. And so I decided to take risks,
Wow.
which I'd never done while she was alive.
What, like, did you have any idea of what you needed to do to, like, start a dance studio?
No.
Did you just, like, have a random idea and you're like, okay, now I gotta ask people and figure this out? Or, like, what was that process
It was
like?
so weird. It was very difficult. Luckily, my dance teacher, she's my former business partner now, but
Okay.
we started it together, and she'd had experience running dance studios, so at least I had that part.
Okay.
But in terms of how to, what kind of space to get, how big the mirrors should be, all those things I didn't know, and really I think the mirrors are too big, so
Oh, really?
I spent too much money on that. I didn't need to be quite that big. Plus, they're impossible to clean at the top.
Oh,
I have to
I
get
never
on the
thought of
big
that.
layer. I know. I have to get on the big ladder to go up there to clean
They
it.
are really nice mirrors, though.
They're
like,
really
Some
nice.
studios, they are, like, shorter. I never even thought of that till you said it, but it is a really nice mirror situation. But I get what you're saying, though.
And then I did so much research onto the floors and how to make the floors right, and should I
Wow.
buy them pre-made from those dance studio places? Should I try
Yeah.
and... So there was so much involved, and I had no idea. And I had never done QuickBooks because I never had to.
Yeah.
So I had to learn that one, which I kind of haven't completely gotten that well yet, but no.
It's enough. It's working, right?
So I had to do all of those things. It was a big challenge, and it was very nerve-wracking in the beginning, but who cares? I mean, I just, once the doors opened, it was great.
What made you, like, because you had a dance studio that you were taking class at. So what was it that, like, really made you want to have your own studio? Like, where was that drive coming from?
Well, this kind of goes back to why the beginning of my dance journey.
Tell us about that.
Okay.
Let's just go back there because I really want to hear it. And where you grew up.
Oh.
Like, can we go back to, is it going back that far?
It doesn't go back that far.
Oh, because you started in LA.
I started in LA.
Okay, let's start there then.
Okay. So, my partner had adopted a baby, and then I joined their family, and so I was at a wedding of our daughter's friend.
Okay.
And I was dancing, and my daughter came up to me and said, "I've never seen you so happy."
Wow. Aw.
And she was right. And I had never, because it was hard. I mean, here I was, a lawyer, and I really enjoyed the work that I was doing because I felt that it wasn't hurting anybody, and it was kind of helping some people a little bit. And I sort of enjoyed that. And plus, I enjoyed going after bad people who didn't pay minimum wage.
Ooh, that's good. Good job.
I really loved that part. But it's very stressful to be a lawyer and to be a litigator. And
Yeah.
So,
Wait, because you were, what was the type of law you did?
I worked for the Department of Labor, the Federal Department
that's
of Labor.
so interesting because I just started working in HR, and so I'm learning all of that. So all of a sudden I'm like, wait a second, now I know who to call when I have questions. Susan's like, no, I don't do that anymore.
I don't remember enough.
Okay.
No, and also I did federal law, so it's very different from, because California law is
that's
much
true.
more complicated,
We have different
and there's
laws,
a lot there.
There is a lot,
which
yeah.
I know here, but so the minimum wage is different. Federal minimum wage is still only $7.25.
Oh my gosh, wait, I think I did know that actually, but that is so crazy.
And then when there are people who aren't even paying that. Garment workers in
wow.
Los Angeles in the
Really?
21st century. One of my last jobs, one of my last cases, garment workers, the average pay was $5.50 an hour.
Whoa. That's crazy.
Oh, it was horrible.
Did you...
Oh,
get
of
it
course,
fixed?
of course we get.
Okay.
Of course.
Oh man, that's nuts. Wow.
It was really horrible. I mean, and they're still being paid. Garment workers are still being paid on a piece rate basis.
Wow.
The way they were back in the 1920s.
Wow.
So if you make enough clothes, you'll make more money. You're not paid on an hourly basis.
Oh my gosh. Wow, that's nuts. Okay, so you were...
So dance made me happy.
So you were at the wedding.
I was at the
You
wedding,
danced.
and I realized I wanted that this was something that I really loved. And I mean, I had danced not technically, not in classes, but I loved going to discos in New York back in the
Nice.
teenager, young adult. I loved that part. So so that's why I knew I enjoyed it, but I'd forgotten.
Yeah.
So when she reminded me, I said, okay. So then I started taking classes.
Wow. That's a really cool story. And how many years ago was that when you first danced at that wedding?
I think now that was probably 10 years ago.
Wow. And so you just started like searching LA for classes. And so do you remember like the first where did you first take class?
It was a Zumba class.
Nice. No, that's great.
That was the only thing I knew that, that I should try, because
Yeah.
I had heard of it and I didn't know anything about any dance studios. So I just looked up Zumba on the web, on the internet, and I found a Zumba class, and it was at a school. Yeah, she wasn't that good, but she was very nice. I mean, she was nice. Didn't do a great class. But then I found another Zumba class at the park through the city's park system, and her name was Keiko Yabushita. Great Zumba teacher. She was really great. She brought so many different styles in. She sometimes did very complex choreography. One of her friends was married to a man from India.
Okay.
And that woman taught Zumba too. But because of her background with her husband, Keiko learned a lot of Indian music. So sometimes we did some Indian chamak cholo. We did chamak cholo.
What is that?
It's a pretty famous Indian song
that
everybody was dancing to. And we
fun.
danced to it in our Zumba class. And that's the only one I remember as the name. But it was really fun. And she was a great teacher. She still is, but I don't take her.
And then did you start finding other classes from there?
So I took Zumba probably for a couple of years. And also I was really fat then too.
Oh, really?
Yes. And one of the things that I started doing as I started taking more dance classes was I gave up beer.
Wow.
I know, it was so sad. And then I gave up potato chips too.
Wow.
But boy, those two things are really fattening. So between exercising a little bit and giving up those two delicious but terrible foods, I started losing a little weight.
Wow.
So that made me feel better. So then I decided, to try different sorts of classes. And somebody from my Zumba class, we tried different classes around town, and so I said, well, why don't we try this dance studio called Your Neighborhood Studio?
Oh.
So that was the real beginning.
And what was your first class at YNS, the tours class?
No, it actually wasn't. It was that other guy. I don't remember his name now, but he also taught a Zumba class. Not Zumba. Was it Zumba? I don't know. Anyway, he was good, but I couldn't do his class at all. It was like an old school class, supposedly.
Okay.
And the young woman at the front desk had said, "Oh, it's that'll be easy enough." Oh, forget about it. It's not.
They had a lot of hard classes.
They did. And then after that, so then I said, that one was really too hard for me. What else? So she suggested Tor's class.
Nice.
And that was wonderful.
That was the same from when I first started taking dance classes out here. The first classes I went to also were way too hard.
Were
and
they?
I went to the front desk. I was like, what is something easier?
Oh, wow.
Because I went to Jazz 1, and I thought that was the first jazz.
Right.
But there was like basic jazz, beginning jazz, then jazz 1. It was like, it was actually a higher level than I realized.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So I was like, oh, it didn't make me not want to dance. It just was like, that class is a little too advanced for me. And they were like, oh, we have a basic jazz. I was like, oh, perfect. So sometimes you gotta like try different ones, but I'm glad it didn't make you think you didn't like dance or anything like that. You're just like, okay, I need something different.
Yeah, no, I knew I really enjoyed it. And once I got into Tor's class, oh God, I loved that class.
What was your
so much.
favorite, like, why did you love Tor's class so much?
Well, Tor is really wonderful, I gotta say.
Tor Campbell.
Yeah. He's now in Chicago at Northwestern University getting a master's in directing.
Oh, wow.
I think he might have almost, and he's directing like musicals.
Wow.
In Chicago now.
That's so
too.
cool.
So he's doing great. It's just too bad I miss him so much. But his class was just really fun. There were a lot of nice people in there, including that wonderful Chandra, who was so kind to me, who was also a really good dancer. And the energy was really fun, and it was easy. I mean, basically, he would teach us, like, 4 counts of choreography, and we just keep going over it, and then he'd add a few more on. And so it was really easy, very high energy, really, really fun music. He used to ask people, like, if I've done a Diana Ross day, I did a T-Pain day, I did a... And so which of those is your favorites? Because I have 3 more classes this year to fill in, so he would take polls on that. So that was really fun.
And there's so many people that loved his class. Like, it seemed like all levels liked his class, because I know people that are advanced dancers that loved Tor's class. I wish I never knew about it, but I wish I had experienced it.
It was really fun. And then the highlight of all that was he did a showcase, and he let any of us who wanted to be in it.
Nice.
We didn't have to audition.
Okay.
And it was at a theater in North Hollywood called the Cupcake Theater.
Cute. I don't know. Does that still exist?
It does not.
Okay.
Because the day after the last performance we did there, they were shut down by the fire department. So thank goodness we did our last performance there before they got shut down.
Oh my gosh.
So, but being in that,
was that your first time ever performing?
That was my first time other than being in 3rd grade performing, yeah.
Oh, so wait, what did you do in 3rd grade?
Well, we had a story that we were going to be acting out, and it was about a witch and a princess, those stories. Yeah. And the teacher said, who wants to be the princess? So she was looking around, and I wasn't at all interested. Who wants to be the witch? Yeah, me. Because I knew those character actors, they really got it. So I have to say, I did steal the show.
That's so funny. I used to take a little French class when I was like probably in 3rd grade or something. It was like I don't even know. It was not at my school. We would go to this woman's house. Anyway, we would put together a French play, and I was also the witch. I wanted to be the witch too. Because it was just more exciting to be like...
So much more exciting.
I got to be like evil and crazy and like, yeah. So I totally get that. Like, you're like, give me the crazy part. Give me the fun part. So was that the only time you ever performed your whole life? Was in 3rd grade?
That was the only time.
I'm kind of surprised because you're so like... You seem like such a dramatic person. Like, I can picture you performing more.
Oh, you know what? I'm so old, I forget these things. I actually did join a little theater group in my neighborhood when I was a teenager.
Oh, nice. Was that in New York?
Yeah, in Brooklyn.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, but it was only for, because I wanted to be an actress.
Oh, wait. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I forgot that, too.
Yeah, let's bring it out.
I had a stage name.
What was your stage name?
Diana Chandler.
Diana Chandler?
Yes.
Wait, really?
Yes.
I feel like you're making this up. That's real?
It was so... Well, I was 12 when I thought of it.
Oh my gosh, I like that. It's very, it's catchy. It's a good name.
It was so bad. Well, the name came from... There was a show called The Avengers. This was way before those Avenger comic movies. And it was an English show with Diana Rigg, who ended up being in Game of Thrones. She played the grandmother in that.
Okay.
But she was a wonderful actress, and she was gorgeous, I have to say. And I had such a crush on her. And she, because she used to wear these, like, black leotards. And then she would beat up all these bad men. And I guess that's why she became my idol. So I wanted to name myself after her.
Wow. So that was your name when you were in the theater group?
No.
Or what?
I used a regular name.
Oh.
But that was the name I was going to use if
you had planned for that name.
Yes,
Okay.
when I became a star.
Wait, so how did you end up moving to LA? That wasn't because of acting.
No,
Okay.
it wasn't. I mean, I was already in my 30s when I moved to LA, and I had not been an actress.
I mean,
it didn't
you still
work.
could have. You
It
still
didn't
could have.
work.
You still could now. But okay, so wait,
work.
what brought you out here?
Well, I was 34 and I'd never lived outside New York. I went to college in New York. I did graduate school for a couple of years in New York. So I felt like I had to make a change. And then I did have a crush on somebody who lived out here, so
That'll do it.
that helped. It was so stupid. Of course, she broke up with me before I got out here, but
I feel like those situations, did you ever watch the show Felicity?
no.
She chooses her college based on this guy she has a little crush on in high school, but she barely ever even talked to him before, and she just goes all the way, changes all of her plans to follow him, and then he doesn't care about her.
Oh, God.
And she's like, what did I do?
Oh, God.
But then they end up, there is stuff.
Oh, do they?
There is good stuff that happens. You have to watch
that's
all of
good.
it. But anyways, yeah, people do crazy stuff. I mean, that's a show, but people do stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I
But
do.
I mean, it brought you to LA, which you're obviously still here, so you must have liked it enough.
It was good. I mean, I wanted to make a change. I wanted to do something different. And I had also been working in documentaries in New York.
Oh.
And it was really hard because I was working a second job in a bar at night.
Wait, so in New York, you weren't doing law yet?
No. I got my law
Oh.
degree out here in UCLA.
Oh, I didn't realize
Yeah.
that. So wait, what were you doing for documentary? What was your job in the documentaries?
I was doing research and sort of assistant producing.
Okay.
And one of the last jobs I worked was with this science producer. She used to make science documentaries.
Okay.
And she was very high up in the science world then. And this was before Ken Burns.
Okay.
So the documentary world was really bad. I mean, there was just no money in it.
Okay.
And no funding. And so this woman, she was really big as a science documentary producer, director. But I was in her house working with her on some project, and there was a big pile of yellow papers in there. And I said, oh, what are those? I mean, it was huge. It was a couple of feet
Okay.
tall. She said she did legal proofreading, which she had to do to support her documentary habit.
Yeah.
So I was like, I got to get out of New York. I'm going to go to California, and I'm going to sell out, and I'm going to work in the movie business.
Oh. So you were thinking about coming here for movies.
Yeah, I did. I forgot that part too. Well,
Your life just gets more and more interesting the more you remember what happened.
and I'm not making it up.
I know. I was just teasing.
It's just after that class, my brain is always takes a little while to
Susan
get back.
did 2 classes today, right?
did too,
So, oh my gosh. So you originally were kind of thinking about movies out here.
Yes.
But then when you came out here, you didn't do movies, or
No,
you did?
I did. I got a job. I started working temp, and I worked at this one movie company for this woman who was quite horrible, but it was a movie company.
Yeah.
And so they hired me on permanently as her assistant. And then I became a story editor, and I was,
cool.
Reading scripts and recommending them and reviewing what other people had read. But it was kind of, it was like the stereotype of what movie people are like.
Yeah. This is pretty rough.
Oh, it was horrible. I mean, they had way too much money. They didn't spend it right. They were all too scared to think for themselves.
Wow.
They went through a huge amount of money in a very short time because they were idiots. I mean, they just were so selfish. But I did get a good severance package.
Nice. I feel like you told me this before, that part of it.
So it paid for my first year's tuition at law school.
Oh, nice.
And then I was in law school. When I went to law school, I was reading scripts for a living.
Okay.
So that's how I paid my rent.
Okay.
So I didn't have to take out too many horrible loans. I had
That's
to take
great.
out some, but it was sort of hard to be reading scripts at night and
Yeah.
going to law school during the day.
Tell me more about like your feeling of quitting law to like do the dance studio. Did you feel confident about that decision through the whole process, or did you ever like wish you were still doing law, or like what was all your emotion?
No, I'm
during
really
that time?
glad to have left law. I was very scared because I didn't know what I was doing, and it's really only been now, after 3 years, that I sort of feel like I do know what I'm doing.
Oh, good. But it's good that 3 years is not that long to start to feel like that.
Yeah, no. And it's helpful. It's also that I'm finally realizing now that I can trust my judgment.
Oh,
One of the
good.
things that was happening in the beginning was I just didn't know.
Yeah.
So, but I've realized that the decisions I've made have been really good.
Yeah.
And but some of them haven't, but it doesn't really matter because
Yeah.
it's better to try than not try.
Yeah.
And so that's been a big evolution for me.
Yeah.
But I mean, even though it was scary, I never got so scared that I felt like I should not do it.
Yeah.
There was only one period, and this was the worst part, really. It was when my business partner left, and then I was doing it all on my own. And she was been great. She just wasn't making enough money, and I felt like I didn't know anything. Like she'd done all the hard
Yeah.
work, and now it was mine, and I had to make all these decisions, and that part was really scary. That was a very hard time. And the other part that was bad was that one of the teachers who'd been bringing in a lot of money, he left then too. So from a financial standpoint, everything got pretty hard.
Wow.
So that year after she left, or the first 6 months, say, that was pretty hard.
Yeah.
But one of the things I did was I did this birthday bash in the park.
Oh yeah, I remember
yeah.
that. Seeing about
Yes,
it.
yes. And that was the first time I'd ever organized any big event before on my
Wow.
own. And it worked.
Yeah.
And so I
It was for
realized
C-Spot's birthday.
it was C-Spot's birthday.
Second birthday or something?
It was the second
Yeah.
birthday, yeah. So so that made me feel like I could do it, and my judgment was correct. It didn't bring in more students or anything, unfortunately. Well, it brought in 2, but that was
That's something.
I know, it is something. So that was the part that was the hardest.
Yeah.
But then also I started trying to do more publicity, so starting to do more Instagram and
Yeah.
more social media, and I found that I really love making reels, even though it sounds crazy, but
No,
it
it
is really
doesn't.
fun.
That was actually going to be one of my questions that I forgot about, was asking about social media, because you have become, I mean, are posting everything, doing everything, and it seems like you enjoy it enough.
I love it.
Yeah, okay.
I love that part. And it's really weird. I think because one of the things that I knew is that in the movie business, some of the only jobs that women had early on were those of costume, of course, and editing. And now I see why, because editing is all about the relationship between things.
Okay.
And so it makes it so, and that's, I think, why I like making those reels, because you see, well, what's this? What's that? So it's really fun to do that.
Yeah.
It's hard, though, because, looking at your phone and doing it on the phone is so hard on the eyes.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy it.
Oh, that's so great. I know there's so much to having a business, and it just can sometimes take a while to grow things. But everyone who comes here, and even the newerish people that have just tried it here, like, everyone loves it. And I hope that you feel enough encouragement generally, daily,
I really do. I mean, this is the reason why I keep doing it too.
Yeah.
And this is also why when that year that I was, after my business partner left and I wasn't making any money, I mean, the only thing that really kept me going was knowing how happy people were
Yeah.
sometimes, and how they would walk in scared and then walk out happy,
Yeah.
and then the people who kept coming back and were supporting and they really loved it, and that just really gave me
Yeah.
love. That was great.
I used to just love when I was working over here on this side. I just would, if I had like a hard day at work or something, like I was like, I'm gonna go see Susan. Because you always cared about my problems. I'd be like, oh, Susan, let me tell you what happened today. And it just felt like a family. I mean, and I love dance, so I wasn't necessarily looking for a dance family. I just want to grow a dance. But then Susan gave this whole extra thing of like, oh, and there's people here that care about me, and I can actually like talk about my life, and you would ask me questions, and you're also such a fun spirit and like joke around, so it would always bring like laughter.
That's good.
It wasn't like, oh, I'm venting and now we're all brought down. It's like, oh, Susan's gonna make a joke about it or make me feel good about it. You know?
Probably use a curse word.
Probably. You've done pretty good though.
Yeah, no, that's surprising.
But yeah, Susan, you've done like such a great job at the C Spot. I'm trying to see if there's other questions that I like really wanted to ask you. Has there been any like really funny like stories of anything that's happened here since you've done this? That's a tough question. If you don't have anything,
I
it's okay.
better say there are some,
probably not.
but I'm not going to say. I am still a lawyer after all. I do know what could happen.
Yeah, that's good. Use wisdom. What would you say? Do you have like a specific? I mean, it seems like you're already living out your vision here.
Yeah.
But do you have anything specific for the future? Like, I really hope that one day this will happen at the C Spot, or we can do this, or like, do you have any sort of vision like that?
Oh, yeah.
What can you share about that?
Well, when I first started the C Spot legally, I also started a nonprofit called Studio 55 Plus.
Oh.
And I don't know if you know what Studio 55 was.
I don't think I do.
Yeah, a lot of people your age don't. Oh, God. It was the first celebrity disco in New York.
Oh, okay.
And so all the big celebrities used to go there during the disco era, Grace Jones, all of them.
Okay.
Now, me and my friends, we were down the Village, because that's where you really went to dance.
Okay.
Up there, they were, who knows? That was like old bogus. I never even wanted to go there. But that was like the famous disco.
Okay.
And so that's why I called it Studio 55 Plus, because I thought it would be one of my dance teachers now that I had found during the pandemic as well. She's older, and she still teaches, and she still smiles every single time she teaches the music, and her joy in that music, even though she's taught it before, is just fantastic.
Wow.
So, but it's hard for dancers, because what are they going to do when they're in their 50s? It's hard for them to keep on moving. It's hard for them to keep on getting jobs. And, I mean, it's true for women to some extent, men, but for sure for women, as you get older and you get uglier, it's really hard. I mean, that's what they say, we get uglier. And
Yeah.
It's true, but
No.
and not in some
We
ways.
just
I
get
know.
wiser and
Yeah.
more real.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about...
So
what's the
what I
Studio
wanted
55?
to do was have some platform, maybe on an internet platform or something, where older teachers could teach older students.
Oh, cool.
Because there was somebody who would come in who said he was a real dancer, and he'd been coming a lot. And there in LA, there are still some good jazz classes, some good dance classes that are more advanced, but they're specifically for over 40 people.
Yeah.
And he'd been taking them, but he had to move to some podunk place to help take care of his parents. And he said, there's nothing out there for me. So, and there are some internet platforms like Steezy and some of those
Yeah.
where and on, YouTube, but I thought it would be so good to be able to take the teachers who are teaching jazz over 40 and put them on a nationwide platform.
Wow.
So everybody could
Yeah.
take part in it. And then I was thinking I could go to AARP to get them involved, but I haven't gotten around to that yet.
Wow. Wait, so is that happening right now, this virtual program? Or is that something,
No,
this is your vision?
This is my vision.
Oh, I
yeah.
forgot we were talking about your vision.
Yeah,
I was
sorry.
like, wow, you're doing this? Okay, no, but that's so cool,
There's no
though.
way I could do it now. It's just too much.
I like that vision, though. I mean, I feel like I have talked to you many times about just your vision for, like, the older dancers. Wow, trees are falling. Just like your vision for people that really want to get better at dance in a real way, but who are a little bit older. So maybe there's certain moves or certain things they don't care about anymore or trying to do. So I know you have such a passion for that and heart for that, and it's cool because I think you already have some of that happening here, like to a degree. I know it's not your complete vision, and it's cool to hear like more of what your real vision is, because we'll pray for that. But yeah, I love that. I feel I love that all of this is just like what's been in your heart and what you've wanted. It's just so nice. I am always encouraged when people are doing jobs and businesses that are just like from their heart. Yeah. Like, of course it's still hard. Of course there's so many things. I mean, it's so sad when you like lost like your partner here, but you probably learned so much and have grown so much, and now, like you said, now you're finally like confident, like, wait, I can make decisions. Wait, I am actually, and nobody's perfect at making decisions, but we just try and somehow it like works out, or maybe we learned something from that, you know, and then we don't do it next time or whatever. So like, you're obviously like successful enough, like it's going well, people love it, you still have so much joy and passion for it, and then you're just learning and growing, and I just love it. I'm so inspired. You. So thank you. And I'm inspired by like the vision you still have, and you've done so many different jobs. I just didn't realize you did. Like,
I mean, that's one of the things about being old. I mean, you guys, of course I've done a few jobs.
I'm like, wait, okay, so that was your documentary era. Okay, oh, that's your lawyer era, and now you're in your dance studio owner era.
My third cat life.
But I love it. Yeah, your third cat life. Yeah, Susan, it was so great to hear more of your story, and like, one last question I forgot. Have you ever taken dance in New York, like at a studio? Have you been back there? Okay, I was just curious.
I actually did. When I was in, for work, I was in D.C., and I took some classes there, but I don't think I never took any classes.
It's just interesting because you grew up in New York, and it's such a big dance place. Yeah. But I mean, you did dance. You did the disco and the clubs or whatever. Yeah. Which I interviewed someone else recently who also was talking about like disco and the clubs and liking that kind of dance when they were younger, and she also has a ton of joy when she's dancing. And I feel like that when you come from that environment of dancing, it's such a fun environment versus people that maybe trained technically their whole lives.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, they might not have, not always, but sometimes they might not have the exact same joy, because you're like, you have this mindset of like, dance is fun,
right? And
some people are like, dance is serious.
Oh, that's really interesting. That's right.
So I think that comes out, which
that's
is really
really
cool.
Interesting. I like that.
Yeah. Well, Susan, thanks for taking time in your really busy Saturday running the studio. They're probably like, where's Susan? We need her right now. But you'll get back. But thank you for taking the time to share your story and your heart and your vision, and for getting me to take a different dance class today, which was fun. And Susan, I'll just see you soon at the studio and at class. And hopefully all you guys enjoyed it. And we'll see you guys soon.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.